More about a suspicious package delivered to the top election office in Missouri. 14 other secretaries of state also received a manila envelope. The ones who opened them say there was an unidentified white substance inside. Missouri Capitol Bureau Chief Joe McLean got a copy of the police report.
That envelope actually arrived at the Secretary of State's building here through the U.S. mail. But the mailroom staff here were actually already on alert, looking out for anything suspicious. It's because the day before, they actually got an email from the Department of Homeland Security saying that the same offices in other states were getting some of these not-so-special deliveries. This photo, captured by the Associated Press, shows responders in hazmat suits, carefully placing a manila envelope into a sealed evidence bag on Tuesday. According to the Jefferson City Police Department incident report, staff at the Missouri Secretary of State's office got a memo Monday from Homeland Security with a photo of what's been received by other state offices so far, and a warning to be on the lookout. Once mailroom staff found an envelope matching Homeland Security's description, they called police without opening the package. The Department of Public Safety alerted the National Guard's Weapons of Mass Destruction Civil Support Team. The mailroom was evacuated. Air conditioning was turned off to stop the spread of anything airborne, and the team also ran tests for radiation and explosives, both coming up negative. Ultimately, the package was taken to the Missouri State Health Laboratory for more testing. Because 14 other states saw the same suspicious delivery, the investigation is now being handled by the FBI. That agency said it does not comment on pending investigations. The Secretary of State's office in Missouri also declined our request for an interview. In Jefferson City, Joe McLean, First Alert 4.